Well, here I am. It is, I think, sometime around about 6:45 in the morning, maybe 6:30. I'm here at the top of Centenary Park, which is this lovely little parkland where I live, and I am trying something a little bit different for this particular episode of the Drydock. A couple of reasons. I figured, if I'm going to be getting out of my comfort zone with this YouTube video, well, I ought to get out of my comfort zone every now and again and not record just in my little home office. This place is a not far walk from where I'm living at the moment, and well, kind of hope to be living for maybe another year or two. It's a very nice place, and I often find that I come up here. A lot of the time I will walk across this park on the way to and from Campbelltown and the local train station to take me elsewhere, but I do kind of like the look of it. I did take a separate shot of the view here, and I'll work out how to edit it in. That'll be another little challenge, but it's a nice place to come when I want to remind myself of where I am and how far I've come over the past year, and the possibility that still lies ahead of me if I am willing to step into it and challenge myself. And on that general topic, I think it's appropriate for me to be here for recording this particular episode of the Drydock, the second episode of the Drydock itself, and the third video that I'm recording for exploring the digital frontier and preparing for this, for the 6-month mission, which is of course a little bit longer than 6 months given that I'm recording now. But anyway, what I wanted to do with this, I wanted to give you folks a chance to get to know me a little bit better, although that's kind of the point of the thing. But as part of this Drydock episode, as part of this Drydock exercise, the point of it is to make sure that I am going to be good to record at least one episode a week for the next 6 months. And of course, I'm doing some brainstorming at the moment, but I think it helps to get a better idea of the person who is doing the brainstorming. Here I am centering myself in shot a little bit more, perhaps appropriately. I did want to have a bit more of the view in the background, but still. So that I can have a filter and some criteria for the brainstorming that I'm doing and get a better idea of what will fit the overall 6-month mission concept and what can probably be left aside, and also to give you folks a chance to get to know me a bit better. Now, I mentioned in the overview of this Drydock exercise that I'm doing in the last episode that I wanted to go over 3 questions that are a core part of a 90s TV show called Babylon 5 that I enjoyed back in the day and still think is pretty darn good. Even with its limitations and how some aspects of it have dated, it does tell kind of a timeless story. And part of that story is the asking of 3 questions. Who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? And they are asked of various people in the show at varying times, and not necessarily in that order. In fact, asking some of the key members of the show the question, what do you want, winds up precipitating a lot of the action and a lot of the angst that occurs in the show. But I have kind of found myself of late going back to these questions as I go through this process of, well, here I am in life. What's next, and how can I be more within it? If I'm going to be doing some creative work in these 6 months, let's get to know the person who's doing the creating, get a bit better idea of who they are. And it occurs to me that perhaps the things that I don't say might be as telling as the things that I do. And if you feel like that there is some stuff between the lines here that I don't discuss, get in touch. Feel free to paste a comment. I won't guarantee that I will answer the question. There may be some things that I'm simply not ready to talk about yet, or that I don't feel are appropriate for this channel, and make of that what you will. But I would appreciate if you do reach out and let me know what you think. So, Like I said, this is really outside my comfort zone because it's early in the morning and there is quite the cool breeze. As you can see, it's a very overcast day. There have been some lovely bright days, but for some odd reason I didn't wind up recording on those when they happened. And the day I decided to record, it was rainy the day before and overnight, and yes, it's still a bit chilly, so very much outside my comfort zone. But I feel like I'm prevaricating a little bit instead of getting stuck in. So let's start asking the question, who am I? Thinking I might put some sort of fantastic graphic here and maybe even see if I can drop in some video from Babylon 5. I better get the bloody show on Blu-ray or DVD or something like that. And I ought to stop looking at myself in the camera and look at the freaking camera. That'd be a good idea. So who am I? Well, I'm Rob, but as the Inquisitor said when he arrived on the Babylon 5 space station to ask, who are you? Just answering with your name doesn't tell you who a person is. So let me just see if I can go through a few things. Well, I am a cisgender Caucasian male in his late 40s. As I've said multiple times, I love sleek futures and cool machines. Have since I was a kid. Between Star Wars and Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds and Battlestar Galactica and Tron and the Transformers and many other things that I was undoubtedly glued on when I was a youngster, I think I had not much choice in that matter. Maybe that's telling in and of itself, but it's something that I've kind of carried across throughout my life, and I don't think it's going to be changing anytime soon. I think it's one of my core flavours. On a personal factor, a character factor, I find that I struggle with balancing people pleasing and standing up for and standing by myself. I have perhaps the fact that I am an only child in a family that I was basically the only person within my age group by about, I would say, a decade. So I didn't really have any peers within my family who are my age, and some point out that I have a lot of the markers of autism, being on the autism spectrum, Asperger's syndrome, and perhaps even ADHD. One person has even pointed out that they reckon my dad has a lot of those markers as well. I found myself not being able to be good at being a kid because I think I was trying too hard to be an adult, and as a result not understanding the kids around me and not being relaxed around them, not being able to take childish slights with ease. I characterize a lot of my life as being alone and lonely, and yes, that does even somewhat carry through to my marriage of 18 years to my late wife Vicky. So yeah, it has been a struggle, although I find that living on my own, which I have done since Vicky died for the first time ever in my life, I moved out from my mum and dad's and in with her, has been instructive. I've still found myself chasing connections, and thankfully I think I'm getting more to the point where that I'm losing the need to. I hope I am, as I been saying a lot lately, transcending and integrating, accepting that need is never going to go away, but also accepting it in my life and not being beholden to it anymore, you know. I am good at and I enjoy speaking and talking with people. I got into podcasting when I was in 2012 and have enjoyed it as a medium. I love being able to talk with people about the things that they love doing. That's something that I try and do on a real life interpersonal basis as well. A lot of folks I've noticed will start a conversation with people they don't know with, what do you do for a crust? And to me, that's like asking someone what the least interesting part of their life is all about. I'd rather ask, what do they love doing? What are their hobbies? Who do they like hanging out with? What gets them up in the morning? What gets them out of bed? What makes them laugh? What can't they wait to do more of? Who can't they wait to see more of? And that's, I think, one of the reasons why my first podcast was called the Pay to Play podcast, because it was all about asking people what they love doing, and as a part of that, how they had turned that into generating an income. And I think I am also, I've got this list here, so kind of getting ahead of the bullet points, but yeah, you can see that. So you might have just seen the answers that I'm about, but that's another thing I'm trying to do. The last episode that I actually put up, I did kind of script, and I want to get better at going from bullet points and being a bit more off the cuff, perhaps being a little bit more honest and speaking better without needing all my words written out. So yeah, there you go, that's something about me, and perhaps that's an answer to the next question, which we will get to. And I find the last thing I've got on my Who Am I list is I find I am getting better at walking toward things rather than walking away from them. I moved to Cairns in part because when I was in Sydney, I didn't know what I was doing here. I was scared of my own shadow. I was in a great paying corporate job but didn't know what I was doing there, and was kind of waiting. I mean, I had a few less than good reviews with managers and just didn't know what I wanted and who I was and why I was there. Here we go, there are those 3 questions. I really didn't know all of those things, and when my late wife had her house still in Cairns, when she moved down to Sydney to be with me, and things with family and friends and work and life just didn't feel like they were going right. I hate to say I didn't have the guts, but I just didn't have that courage to go, okay, things might not be going great, but I'm in a good situation. I've got a lot of skills, a lot of talents, and what if I also accept that where I am is actually pretty darn good? It's better than I think it is, and the main thing that's really making me feel out of place here is my own worry. And I didn't have that at the time, but I am getting there now, and I really feel like being here, in a way, choosing to do this 6-month mission is in part motivated by me going, I am sick and tired of worrying about things. I'm sick and tired of worrying about my financial situation, my job situation. I'm choosing to recognise where things are stable and saying, let's take some time to do the things that I feel that I'm curious about, that I want to give a try. And yeah, I think I'm getting better at doing that. And there has been a situation or two of recent where I've started thinking, where I felt myself going, is this right for me? Am I making a mistake here? Am I getting involved with something and someone whom I'm perhaps not ready to be involved with? I don't know myself well enough to be able to say, yes, this person, getting a little bit personal here, that I can tell that this person is a person of quality and goodness, and that I'm really, that I am safe with this person. And the walking toward is going, you know what, you are getting some courage, you are getting discernment, and you are also not rushing into this. You are taking your time, even though you are spending a little bit of time with this person. You're taking your time to get to know them and have fun with them, and you're not making any huge commitments to them other than spending time with them. And it's good. It's working out pretty well. So, the next question. What do I want? Well, I want to live a life... Oh, pardon me. I think that's my 7 o'clock alarm. So there we go. It is 7 o'clock now. So let's pause that. Well, not pause that. Let's shut that down, because I am doing something, doing pretty much what my alarm's reminding me to do. What do I want? Okay, look at the camera when you say that, Rob. What do I want? I want to live a life that excites me more often than it scares me. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. I mean, being here in Sydney is pretty exciting and also scary. And I think there is a trick as well, some folks have talked about, when you are feeling scared, reframe it within your own mind as feeling excited. The thing that you're about to do is going to be awesome. I mean, let's face it, I was a little bit scared in coming up here and recording this and doing it in public where people could be walking by. No one has yet. so far so good, although there's a little bit, it's a bit sad about that, because, you know, at least if someone does come by, I can really do the whole, all right, let's just keep doing the thing and being properly weird in public. I want a life that I can be proud of, that I can look back and say, you know what, I did some pretty awesome stuff in that time, and I let courage guide me more often than I let fear guide me. I think that will be a life to be proud of, and I think, hell, once I get this recorded, I reckon I can walk away from the top of this hill and go, yep, I'm proud of myself for doing that. I want to let my child life wandering self explore, create and play. This is something that I think I've held myself back on a lot, because there have always been other priorities, and I think I've always tried to be responsible and worried a bit too much about negative outcomes, even when my situation is actually more stable than I realise it is. And part of me doing this project is because this childlike part of me just basically said, let's give YouTubing a go, let's try it, let's see what it's like. I'm watching a lot of YouTube, let's create something as well as just consuming it. Let's have some fun with this. Let's enjoy seeing yourself on camera and on YouTube, and maybe other people will too, because, you know, if you are, how can other people not? I want to bring as much of myself, including my love of sleep features and cool machines, into my life as possible. And yeah, that does include my income generating life, and we'll see what happens there. I want to balance deep and fun connections with others with a deep and fun connection with myself. You know, it seems a little bit odd that making videos for YouTube in and of itself seems like a kind of egomaniacal practice, self-congratulatory, patting yourself on the back and, you know, trying to convince the world of how awesome you are, you know what I mean? But I still think that there is something there that can help me. Maybe it's a little bit of a proving thing, you know, if I can get the courage to record and bring myself onto YouTube, then it kind of proves to myself that I can bring myself into the rest of my life, you know? So it's weird that doing this is part of a connective exercise with me. But I guess, you know, the thought is that sharing this vulnerability, or I don't know, I hesitate to use the term vulnerability, because it's easy to be vulnerable when it's me in a camera and then I put it up on YouTube. It's tougher to be vulnerable when you're around other people, and that's what the real challenge is. But I think I'm getting there. And I hope that, in a way, doing these will help me connect with other people. And hopefully, in part of that will be because it's helping them as well. You know, me bringing a big part out of myself like this might help other folks recognize themselves and perhaps believe in themselves a little bit more. Who knows? Again, maybe that's just ego talking, but I still, that's one thing I want. I really want to make sure that I am connecting as fully as possible with people, but also that I am comfortable in being, not just on my own, but being with myself in my own company. I think that's going to be the bedrock that everything else will stand on. And to eventually do interviews live on stage. So here's the aspirational what do I want. Here's perhaps a little bit of the Londo Malari what do I want in Babylon 5. If you do a YouTube search for Babylon 5 Londo Malari what do you want, and this video of this guy asking this weird other guy in florid, rich looking purple clothing and this whopping great haircut, not an afro but like a fan of hair that you know comes from the back of his head, about what he wants and how that guy with the big hair uncorks something and answers from a place of frustration and thwarted ambition and anger. That, you know, that's kind of like one of the key moments of the series. It really is. But I hope at least by giving a bit of that context of who I am, I'm answering this what I want question the right way. Having the courage to be selfish in balance a little bit. And a little bit of that is I would like to be able to be interviewing people, enjoying conversations with people about the important things as they relate to living well and living good on a stage in front of an audience, and, you know, helping them live their lives a little bit better. But yeah, that little bit of, I want to do it on a stage, and I want to do it in front of hundreds, thousands of people live. That's, yeah, why not? Let's have a little bit of ambition. Let's enjoy the wanting of the thing and see where it takes me. And I think that's about, for the moment, what I want. But that leads me to the final question, which is, why am I here? And there's a few components to this. What has brought me to this place in this time? And what is my purpose for being here? So more broadly, I am in Sydney because I wanted to be back here. Because I challenged myself to going, okay, can I make it back down to Sydney from Cairns? Can I make myself a life here? I had some factors in my favour, like the fact that I work from home at my current job and could bring it with me. One of the things I ran away from back in the day from Sydney was because the town had an energy and perhaps an ambition to it in and of itself that I couldn't harness. I felt it moving past me and through me, and it felt painful and confusing. But now, I don't know, I'm feeling like I'm more likely to find my people here, the people whom I will connect with, not just for what I want in terms of ambition, but just the people I will connect with through being who I am. I don't think Cairns was the town for me, right, at this point of life, this point in my life, and I think Sydney is a better fit. What else did I write down here? And on the front of people, to keep getting to know the lovely bunch of weirdos and oddballs that I have both been meeting new and that I've been reconnecting with after time away better. It's a bit of a tricky thing. Everybody is busy, everybody has lives, but yeah, it's been, of late, I've been getting to know a bunch of new people, and it's been great fun. It really has. And, well, the question is, why am I here on YouTube? Well, I was talking about my childlike self a little bit earlier on, the one who's like keen to find out what it's like to be a YouTuber, just give it a go. Well, I'm here to let that childlike self have a bit of free rein and see where it takes me, even though I am trying to be disciplined about it and writing bullet points and show ideas and trying to come up with titles and thumbnails per Ali Abdal's advice. Just give it a genuine go for 6 months, and then if it works out well, keep doing it. Work out how I can fit it into my schedule consistently. I'm here to sharpen my speaking and perhaps my interviewing skills. I may well be coming back to the podcast and chatting with folks, and I think that's definitely not a bad thing. To offer my own perspective to you in the hopes that it helps you find courage in your own life. It does take a certain amount of guts to not just do a YouTube video, but to keep doing them and planning them and organising them and making sure that they are as quality as possible. There is a certain amount of chutzpah, of hubris perhaps even, in doing something like this. And like I said, I have been running away from things for ages, and even if I am sitting in front of a camera and recording, I'm out here, not tucked away in my house on top of a public park, but here in this place to do something different in life. And I think that's important, and I think it has meaning to more than just me. And to scratch a creative public speaking itch. I mean, I do, like I said, one of my what do I wants is to, I'm going to turn this over so I can plug it in. One of my wants is to be able to speak live. And if there's one of the downsides about living on my own, it's that the only person I have to talk with is Silky. Which you think, given that I'm talking to a camera at the moment, would be enough. But there is something about organising my thoughts and presenting them in this manner that that I like, and that it's good exercise. It is a good mental exercise to do, and I enjoy doing it. Well, I think that sums up my answers to those 3 questions. There is always more. I think a person can keep digging into life for years and years and still keep going, but I think the point is also to stop digging into yourself and just stepping out into the world more broadly. So this will do for now. And I'm hoping that you folks who are watching this will come up with some questions of your own and maybe ask for some more detail, and I will see how much I can dig in with. But in the meantime, this is enough for this episode. And it's interesting that I ended on that scratching a public creative itch. That was just the last answer I had, because now that I think of it, the next episode is going to be, the next Drydock episode is going to be about YouTubing and the newsletter that I write every week. So kind of digging into more about how I'm going to be scratching that public speaking creative itch and all the organising that I will need to do around it, and making sure that I'm doing it consistently. So I am going to wind things up here and head back home and get this off my phone and onto my computer, and maybe record another episode at my desk out of this, come to think of it, it's still a bit chilly but not too uncomfortable breeze. So and then now it picks up, of course. So talk about stepping out of a comfort zone. But I will sign off with my usual, have a good time in the meantime. All the best. Oh, covering the lens again. Let's try that again. Have a good time in the meantime. All the best.